Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gananaham Tva Ganapati Gumhavamahe Kavim Kavinam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anas Srinvan Utibhitsi Datadanam Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhir Vajinivati Dhinama Vitrayavatu Ganeshaya Namaha Saraswatyai Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketurganadhyakshaha Halachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasyad Viradavaktradhyaha Parishadhyaha Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamastraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Anjananandanam Viram Janaki Sokanasanam Kapi Samakshahantaram Vande Lanka Bhayankaram Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatthulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatthulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tatthulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Ramanama Varanana Om Namayiti Manojavam Maruta Tulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Vatatmajam Vanara Yudamukyam Shri Ramadutam Sirasa Namami. So with Bhagavan's grace, we are now in Mithila, and as Janaka was completely absorbed in the darshan of Rama and Lakshmana, and he had gone into samadhi many times, and the bliss that one experiences in the company of divinity, in the Atma Jnanam, Paramanandam, Atmanandam, as the elders say. So, but he could not take his eyes off the two boys. He wanted to express many things, but he had to control himself. And he was wondering, he said, these people must be very rare beings indeed, because they must be divinity itself. Because what they achieved successfully, even before reaching teenage, the guardianship, the protection of that yajna, that even the most renowned sage, Viswamitra himself, could not carry through without obstructions. It was beyond Viswamitra to protect it. So he had to seek somebody who was more powerful than him. What a wonder, what a marvel is what Janaka was thinking. Then Viswamitra continued the narrative from the yajna, how they started for Mithila, and all the stories that Viswamitra explained to Rama and Lakshmana on the way were again narrated by the Rishi to Janaka also. And then when he came to the story of Ahalya Vimochanam, the purification of the liberation of Ahalya. At that time, when he was reciting that, the sage Gautama, who was the consort, the husband of Ahalya, and this hermitage where sage Gautama was not very far from Mithila. When this was being described, Satyananda was surprised beyond measure. Immediately he said, he couldn't control himself. He said, "What? Has my mother been freed from the curse? These divine personalities were the reason they actually saved my mother and restored her to my father? Oh, without doubt, they are divine." This is what happens when Avataram comes. Only very few people know that the Avataram has come. Many people doubt it. Many people wonder. Many people ascribe different motives, like it's magic and superhuman efforts and all that. But when Avataram comes, it is easy to read now and look at Rama as an Avataram, but put yourself as a contemporary of Rama. The mind plays many tricks. It always gives doubt. Now Satyananda now exclaimed in certainty, these are without doubt divine. And the tremendous tears of gratitude pouring down from his eyes, he fell at the feet of these two young boys. And he just could not get up. He was so moved by it. And then Viswamitra observed this great rishi Satyananda. Satyananda was the priest of the Janaka's kingdom. And he observed him. He said, "Child, don't be overwhelmed with these little small events that have happened so far. In the coming days, many events vastly more amazing will happen. They will cause wonder and amazement and awe and ecstasy beyond measure, and because of the superhuman glory. Now very soon your parents also will arrive in Mithila city, tomorrow itself or the day after they may come. You can hear the marvelous story of Rama and Lakshmana from them. Calm yourself, Satyananda," he was saying. And then the Emperor Janaka at that time said, "Master, how fortunate are the parents who have such divinely endowed sons. Oh, how fortunate I am that they stepped into my house when the thought occurred to them." He turned to Rama and Lakshmana and he spoke to them. He said, "Oh, my dear darlings, pardon me if the residence I have arranged for you is not quite to your liking or keeping with your status. If you so desire, I am ever ready to arrange a more appropriate accommodation for you. Now, if you like, I will facilitate sightseeing in the city for you strangers to Mithila. Ask for anything you require without reservation. I will be very happy only when you ask." These words were spoken with such exemplary goodness and humility and sincerity and integrity, And Rama replied in a manner that revealed the respect he had for the likes of people like Janaka. Not because Janaka was a king, no, but because of the type of human being that he was, a spiritually advanced person he was. Sincerity, Satyam, truth, Dharmam, humility, Vinayam, all these things attract Bhagavan to us. They bring Bhagavan to us immediately. He said, "Maharaja, we are just boys, that's all. We do not feel anything that's wanting in the arrangements you have made. We are very contented. We are very happy. You don't need to take any trouble to arrange our accommodation somewhere else or something more for us. But however, if you have such great affection towards us, you can fulfill one wish that we have." And without mentioning what that wish was, Rama turned towards his guru, the Brahma Rishi, the Viswamitra there. He looked at him. Then the Rishi spoke. He said, "Janaka, the mission on which these princes have come with me from Ayodhya was over, where the yajna that I had resolved upon was accomplished without any type of trouble. Now, then they asked for permission to return to Ayodhya. Then at that time, I received your invitation for the yajna you have decided upon. So I asked these two boys, Rama and Lakshmana, to accompany me to Mithila. Then Rama pleaded that, his father had had deputed him only for safeguarding the yajna at my ashram, and he had not given permission for him to do anything else. So he was really reluctant to proceed further and come with me and be away from his father longer than required or longer than permitted. But then I spoke to him on the many divine weapons you have, objects, which they are very naturally eager to see and handle. So then I described the bow that you have here, the Siva bow, which deserves to be seen by them. I told them the story of that bow. Then they agreed to accompany me hither, longing to see it. They have no yearning to go around the city or do sightseeing and looking at various places and all that. They are Kshatriyas, bows, arrows, weapons, which can guard the Sattvic people, guard the Dharmic people, the right, and then punish the wicked. These are the ones that claim that they attend to. Then when Viswamitra was talking like this, Janaka felt, oh my God, he really need not hear anymore. He immediately said, Swami, no problem. In that case, I will make arrangements for that bow to be brought to the yajna hall soon. And then he requested his preceptor, Satananda, to be consulted and fix an auspicious time for the bow to be brought. Then, in the meantime, Rama asked Janaka, Maharaja, if you can tell us how the divine bow came into your possession, we'll be very, very happy. And then Janaka gave the details with tremendous joy. When somebody talks to you about matters that are important to you and close to your heart, how happy you will feel. He said, darling, 6 generations after Nimi, who was the great ancestor of my dynasty, he said, the king named Devadutta was ruling over the kingdom. Now the Devas placed this bow, that of Lord Shiva, in trust in his palace. Now it has been with us ever since. It is a weapon of the Devas, God. So I do not consider it as an ordinary bow. No, it weighs some thousands of tons. It's so heavy. No one has held it in his hand in the erect position so far. For who can lift its weight? Many times in the past, I tried to find out who can bend the bow and use it or hold it for public gaze, and invited many, many people to try. But I am yet to see one who can do it. Every king and prince who attempted to lift it returned failed and humiliated. And they could neither bend the bow nor even move it ever so slightly. One day, when I was plowing the soil, turning the sod on the ground, and where I had to prepare the ground for the yajna, this is a very important work, ground preparation. At that time, a small vessel came in that furrow that I was using to plow the land. And when I removed that vessel and I saw a charming, beautiful young girl, a child. Since she came to us from the furrow, we named her Sita. And then we have brought her up as our own child. Now one day, when Sita was playing with her companions, her toy rolled underneath this long box within which the bow was kept. The more everybody tried to recover that little ball that had gone underneath, with various tools and things they tried, to push it and pull it, nothing worked. Because the more they tried, the farther it rolled under the box. But this little child, Sita, just laughed that people could not get it. And even the palace guards and so many warriors, they came there, nobody could do it. So she laughed at their unsuccessful attempts and trials, and she just pushed aside the box with her tender little hand and recovered the ball. To everyone was astonished. I heard about this. I was not there, but I heard about this through the queens, who came to know that this is what happened from the various people who were there. I'm wonderstruck from that time. So that day, I resolved in my mind that I will give Sita in marriage to one who proves himself to be worthy of her by stringing that bow. Many princes have come and tried to lift and bend the bow, but in order to win Sita, but all of them faced ignominious defeat. They felt hurt and insulted, and then they said, I purposely humiliated them. And then in their resentment, they all got together and attacked the Mithila, attacked the city. And they actually surrounded the city and the siege. We were all we held under siege for 1 full year. Then, because of the battle with them, I had to fight. All my weaponry and armory and all my the so-called defense things, everything was exhausted, and I was really concerned what to do about the fate of the city, the people living here, and all that. At that time, I prayed, and I had no other choice. Anyada sharanam nasti, no other place to go except to go and surrender and fall at the feet of Bhagavan, and that's what I did. I did because the Devas were very pleased, and then they blessed me with additional armory, infantry, cavalry, elephantry, chariotry, and then means how do Devas give you all this? That means help came from many regions behind the enemy who was surrounding my city. Behind those enemy line, lots of people started helping me. And when they started attacking from behind, naturally the enemy scattered and they went away. And during all this time, I was able to preserve the bow. I guarded it like the apple of my eye. Now Ramachandra, he says, I will not deny you the fulfillment of your wish. If you kindly agree, he was telling Rama, if you just agree, I will have the bow brought to where the yajna enclosure is. They build a big enclosure to the yajna. I will ask them to bring it there. I will also announce again that anyone who dares to lift the bow and bend it can try and do so. I'll make the announcement again. Then Janaka spoke so authoritatively and powerfully in a commanding voice. Rama and Lakshmana just looked at each other, but they did not utter a single word because they were waiting for instructions from Viswamitra. What to do? Because he's the one who has to give permission. Then Viswamitra, of course, who knew the full strength of Rama and Lakshmana, said, what Janaka had proposed can be done. He gave the permission. And then he also told Janaka, you don't have to worry about any other obstacle coming your way. Don't worry about it. Just proceed. And once Janaka got the permission, then he made another announcement. He said, I will give Sita in marriage to whoever lifts the bow and strings it. Because this is the promise and the vow that I had given. And Sita can be wedded, can be given in marriage only to such a person. Then Viswamitra approved that procedure also that Janaka said. So both were said by Janaka, but approved by Viswamitra before Janaka executed it. Please remember that. Then Janaka immediately took leave of the sage and returned to the palace. Then he had to arrange for the boat to be brought to the yajna enclosure, yajna hall. And then he had to announce, public announcement had to be made that the bow will be being brought so everybody can have darshan of it. And then it has to be communicated to as many kings and princes, everybody. It's not, this kind of a thing has to become a public information. So he did all that. And then the box carrying the bow was wheeled in to the yajna enclosure. It had the carriage had 8 wheels, and then it was pulled and pushed by literally a large group of wrestlers and very strong people, and slowly they brought it. And then when it was brought into the yajna hall and to the sacred enclosure, at that time all the Vedic priests, they all recited Vedic mantram and to giving it a very auspicious welcome. Don't consider it just as a bow. That is Bhagavan himself. That's how Janaka worshipped the bow. Not as a bow, but he did archana to it, aradhana to it. He did prayers to it, because it was given by Devas himself and Siva's bow. So next day came. At that time, again, the Pratakalam, the early dawn time, when the king comes, all the 9 instruments played, and it was beautifully, it was extremely auspicious. And then Janaka came into the yajna hall, accompanied by a group of Vedic priests and various attendants. These attendants were all carrying different things to perform their ceremonial worship of the bow. And very soon, kings and ministers and princes and many scholars, everybody assembled in the hall. The whole hall was filled. Then, as soon as Janaka came there, everybody stood up in respect. And then the Vedic priest started reciting Vedas in a very loud voice and seeking Bhagavan to shower his grace. And they said in such a unanimous, united way. I mean, the voice rose up, the hymn rose up right to the sky. It was so beautiful. It was. And then at the time, everybody had a sense of expectancy. Then Janaka came in and did the pradakshinam around the bow, then offered flowers to it, and then prayers to it, and then he bowed, and then he turned and faced the assembly. He said, "My humble namaskarams to all the rishis present here. I welcome every one of you who have come to this assembly. Since many years, my forefathers and, as well as my several ancestors or my lineage, as you know, have been worshipping this divine bow. Besides, everybody knows, be he be a god Deva, or he be a Rakshasa, Yaksha, Garuda, Gandharva, Kinnara, Mahoraga, whoever it is, no one has so far been able to lift the bow, hold it, and string it. All who have attempted to do so have turned back humiliated. In spite of this day, I have again resolved to bring the bow into the sacred yajna hall. Whoever among you assembled here lifts the bow, or after lifting it, strings the bow, or after stringing it, fixes an arrow on it, or whoever can hold the weight of the bow in his hands can come forward and take this chance. The bow is before you." With these words, Janaka bowed before the audience again, and with his palms folded, and sat down on his simhasanam. At that time, just imagine that you are present there in that hall. What happened? Nobody spoke. Viswamitra just put a glance to Rama. That's all. Just a short glance to him. That's all he did. With a smile. He just looked at Rama with a smile. Immediately, Rama got up and quickly went to that container, the vehicle in which bow was there. He lifted the iron cover. It was a big box, gigantic box. So the bow was inside that box. So he lifted the cover of that box. And then, with his right hand, without the slightest concern or exertion, he just lifted the bow from the box. And then he held the bow in his hand and looked around while everybody was amazed. And thousands of people who witnessed this wonder, citizens, kings, princes, rishis, elder people, they all immediately raised such a thunderous applause as if the sky itself had fallen down. That was the noise that was there. So happy everybody was. Then Rama straightened the magnificent bow, and then with the slightest ease, with no effort at all, he fixed an arrow in it. And then he pulled the string back all the way up to his ear in order to release the arrow. But the bow snapped, broke, and it was like an atomic bomb explosion. Everybody was shocked in confusion because noise was so thunderous and tremendous noise it was. Many people actually fainted, and some people cried out in terror and fear, and some people immediately fled their hall. They ran away as if a catastrophe had come. Then the various rishis, what did they do? They said their prayers to Bhagavan. The entire gathering, except Janaka, Viswamitra, and Rama and Lakshmana, was immersed in incredible dread and fear because they never experienced such a sound. Then Janaka rose from his seat and he fell at the feet of Viswamitra. Then he said, Swami, there is no one on this earth who can claim greater strength than Rama. Such strength is not of this earth. No, no, no. I will fulfill my word. I will give Sita in marriage to him who lifted, bent, and broke the bow, he said. With Swami's grace, we will continue tomorrow. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.